Hello, everyone. Welcome to the KW Maps Podcast, Growth Edition, where you learn one specific strategy a KW Maps client implemented to sell more homes. Today, you'll meet Jessica Starr, a real estate professional in Connecticut and Lower Massachusetts who joined KW Maps 7 years ago. You'll learn why Jessica invested in Maps coaching, how she implemented the 411 model, and how she was able to increase her production year after year despite being the primary income earner and a mother of 4. If you like this podcast and want to subscribe, search KW Maps Podcast on iTunes. You can also go to kwmapspodcast.com. So let's get right into it and listen in on the interview with Jessica Starr and Diana Kokoska.
Jessica, every single person has a story, and I love to hear the stories of the people that I have the opportunity to interview. So tell us about your story.
My story starts roughly 15 years ago. I was at Prudential Connecticut Realty for about 7. I switched to Keller Williams. I had 2 little babies that were 4 and 2, and I switched not because of money. I switched because of opportunity and the systems and leverage I saw to start regaining back relationships and time and moments with my family that I had missed being at the other company because I didn't have these tools and systems. So that was huge for me.
So what was it about Keller Williams that attracted you?
Well, I like to say I got the golden ticket. I had an opportunity from the local team leader here, and he had just sent me a postcard, amazingly enough. How many of us don't want to do direct mail, right? Well, I got this postcard that said, hey, come join us in Mega Camp in Austin, and all expenses paid, blah, blah, blah. So I had this postcard, and I saved it. I don't know why I saved it, and I did. And one day I was cleaning out my office. I still had it, and my husband was helping me, and he looks and he goes, what is this postcard? Go to Texas. You've always wanted to go to Texas. And I said, well, yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, there's got to be some catch. So he goes, just call him and see. And at that point, I swear it was less than a week before Mega Camp, so I didn't give him a boatload of time. And so I called him, and I said, hey, you know, I might be interested in going. And he's like, oh, let me see what I can do. So needless to say, they hurried up and found me a flight and a roommate and had a ticket, and I went to Mega Camp. And being at my other company, they had events, but it was nothing that after you went that you felt like you had to go back to again or felt like you really got a lot of. A lot of them I really felt like I could have taught the classes. So when I went to Mega Camp, my eyes were so open, and I remember sitting in the seat the first time and thinking to myself, how much business are these people doing? How long did this take them? I've been in this business for longer than that, and these guys are sitting up here doing what? And I remember sitting there and taking notes. My hand was so cramped up because I took notes as fast as I possibly could. And I looked at the team leader, and I just said, I am so excited right now. I have a fire in my belly. I just want to go back to my room and start working.
So did you join us right then?
No. You know what? I'm a creature of habit, Diana, and what is my problem? I wish I did. However, I actually still stayed in contact with everybody, and I was scared to make a change. So just to give you a little background on that, I live in the town I grew up in. I'm a hometown girl. I married my high school sweetheart. You know, I don't like change. So, and yet I do it now so freely and frequently. It's like a 180 from the person I was before I joined Keller Williams. And
so why did you join? How did you join?
So I joined because when I got back and I stayed in touch with the team leader, he was really great at staying in touch with me. He had actually invited me to come to Bold. And, you know, he tells me, I think at the time maybe it was 7 weeks, I'm not sure, but it was a long course, a full day, and like that seemed so completely overwhelming, especially being a young mom and juggling everything. And then I thought about it, and I thought, how much excitement did I have, and how much did I learn from being at Mega Camp? This is a free class they're offering me because I wasn't with Keller Williams at the time. And what an opportunity. And if I don't like it, I could just tell them I'm not going to go. So I at least can go try this free day. So I went, and again, just like Mega Camp was, it was like, how can I not take this class? So I took the class, and probably halfway through, which, I probably should have done sooner. However, halfway through, I finally saw the light and was not scared to make the change and decided to make the change. And one of the reasons being, quite honestly, it's the most simple tool. My team leader used it with me in some coaching he had also started prior to me coming. And I know it was a tool that they learned in Bold, and it was all about time blocking. And had I known time blocking, I truly feel that I would not have lost friendships or missed baseball games or birthday parties because, at the other companies, we just run around like a maniac, and if somebody wants to go see a house, you drop everything to go show them, and then you're putting your family second. So because of time blocking, because of Bold, and because of Mega Camp, I had no other option. And I knew when I learned the tools that I needed to learn that the systems and the leverage and the scripts and everything that Bold was teaching me and everything it taught me about mindset, which was unbelievable to me, and I still journal to this day every morning. I had to be there. There was no other option. It just was so crystal clear to me that I shouldn't be anywhere else.
So what was your big aha when you joined Keller Williams?
My aha was that I could actually have more time with my family, do more sales and make more money, and help other people build the life that they wanted. And it didn't have to all be me because, I always thought everything had to be me. So that was really eye-opening.
Now, so you did not have a team before you came to Keller Williams?
Nope. I had one girl I had just started very part-time on like a $200 a transaction basis to just help me with paperwork. And we didn't call her a transaction or a listing coordinator. She was my client services coordinator, who eventually became one of my buyer's agents.
Well, so you're losing friends. You didn't have time with your family. And
right.
What was it about Keller Williams that changed your life?
I think just the basic premise of God, family, and business really aligned with what I think is the most important in life. And my life changed because since joining Keller Williams, I've never missed a birthday party or a baseball game. Since joining Keller Williams, I was able to spend time with my family while my father was sick. And I was able to create a system and a business around what would work best for my family and what I've serviced my clients at a much higher level than I was even able to before because I'm able to have those conversations with them, from the initial appointment on with, hey, these are my hours of operation. Just so you know when I'm going to be available and here's why. And people get it and they're willing to work with you. If you show them that you're the expert in the field, you tell them your availability, people get it. And I think that was a huge mindset shift for me because at the other company, it just literally felt like, well, you had to go when somebody needed you because there's, 10 other agents lined up waiting to take them. And yet, if you learn the right scripts and dialogues to tell these people and discuss things with them ahead of time, they're not going to want to use one of those agents, and they will be willing to wait for you because you are the expert in the field, and you've showed them care and candor to what they need. So those were huge things for me.
So you go from working 24/7, it sounded like,
yep.
to having a life by design. Were there any systems or models that you used for that?
I think that's a loaded question, Diana. Of course there was. So systems, we use the 411 every week with our team. And besides just the training and education that we get at KW, I took RSTLM, I think, 13 times. I've been in Bold 12 times, Quantum Leap 4, Fierce Conversations, you name it. So anything that comes out, I have truly turned into a learning-based person, and I hadn't been that way before because I didn't see the value in it where I was previously. So the systems we've created, from the leverage on the team, even for me, I have multiple people monitoring my email. When I go on vacation now, my phone is forwarded, and they lock me out of every single system because they know I'm a monster with work. so they'll change my passwords on everything so I don't work. And I have to be stopped. I can't stop myself. So it's really amazing to see the difference. And I, said to my husband, I think a couple years ago now, like the 180 in what a vacation looks like now compared to what it looked like then is unbelievable. I'm not on the phone all the time. I'm not on email all the time. I do get to power down, and I get that think time that we all need and the time we need with our little ones. So we do that for our team members as well. So when somebody's on vacation, the entire team covers because that's just what we do. We get our, out of office email and who's covering what, and they're shut out of everything.
So you're being learning based. You're using models and systems. I mean, I know you've been to Bold 12 times. You've taken Quantum Leap. I mean, all these other classes. Do you really plug into Keller Williams? Like, do you use Kelly and the referral network?
You know what? I love Keller Williams so much, and anytime there's a new option out of something to use or some system, we are going to absolutely give it a try. So Kelly came out, and I think, I could be wrong, but I think they released it at Family Reunion or just around that time this past year. And as soon as they did, we immediately downloaded it. We have so many referrals through social media and through meeting people at these events and going to speak or going to teach like I have done. So we make those connections, and now Kelly is such a great option because you can truly see somebody's production. It's not just a fan club. And, I have people say to me all the time in the referral groups on social media, oh, well, you must be part of a fan club. And I said, well, I am, but I'm not part of any paid fan club. I literally have earned their business. So that's why they're posting my name. And, I'm happy about that. So now we can get it through Kelly as well. We've probably got somewhere between 15 to 20 referrals throughout all of our agents on our team on Kelly. And I love it because of how you can update people on what the progress on the referral they've sent in, how you can get updates on what you've sent to them. And even when agents at KW tell me they don't know how to use Kelly, we do our best to try to input the information ourselves so that we can get them in it and start using it.
It's interesting. I just pulled you up this morning on Kelly to see who you were and a little bit about you and where you're at and your production. I mean, it's amazing all the things that it tells you, right? That you started in 2010, your closed units were 175 and listings sold 77.8. You're looking at this, Jessica. It tells you all the various things that that's why I knew you graduated from Bold 12 times. You've been to Quantum Leap twice. I mean, all these things about who you're going to be sending your referrals to, right?
Right. It's enormous. And I think the nice thing is, it's really been great with creating the relationships with the other agents because before, even on social media through, the Keller Williams Referral Network or one of the many groups that are on there, we would get a referral and we would update because that's just what our team does. However, there was no real system around it in one consolidated place to make it easy, so it would just be us setting reminders to remind ourselves to update so-and-so on whatever. And they didn't necessarily always ask for it, but I know that when I send a referral, I really would love an update just to know that my people are being taken care of.
Yeah.
So having that system in one place is outstanding.
That's what I think is great, too, because now it's not, did I send feedback? And we all want feedback on those referrals, and you have 15 of them out right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually a little more than that. It's between all the team members. The only problem, and we're working on it with Josh's team, who is outstanding, is that we need to figure out a way to merge the team to maybe have one, Starr Realty Group is the main person that gets it, and we can assign it to Jen Feynman on the team or whoever else, and then we can all get the update in one dashboard there. So that's the only thing. So they're spread out through the team, but yeah, we have over 15.
Wow, good for you. That is fabulous. So here you are. You've been going along, doing pretty good. I mean, you want more, though. But what more did you do to your business?
So the biggest hire that I had actually happened a week before my dad passed away. I hired my director of operations, and I was terrified much like when I started with MAPS coaching, Diana, I was terrified. So I'd be happy to talk to you about that too. That kind of hire is such a substantial amount of money and responsibility and training that it took me a year to hire the right person. And for me, I know a lot of people will say, well, all you need to have is 3 months worth of their salary saved. And if they don't work out, obviously after the first 100 days, well, then they're gone and you didn't need any more than that. I just don't think in short term. So before hiring this person, I wanted to make sure I had his entire salary saved. So I did that, and the timing for me was actually perfect because obviously I need a little bit of time off once we lost my dad. And he just was really outstanding, and he has been in charge of growth and hiring. And the year after my dad passed was the best year that we had. So we were $45 million in sales, which was pretty good for Connecticut, especially because that made us number 5 in the entire state out of every company.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
So you said that you were terrified about the coach. I picked up on that.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, I think the biggest thing was it was not long after my husband had his accident at work. I might have forgotten to tell you that part. That was being with KW for 5 months. I had one of the most perfect days ever. It was in April, and I found out that day that I was pregnant with our daughter, our third. And then the very next day, my husband called me at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he had had an accident at work. He fell 16 feet out of a firehouse ceiling and broke his back. So, we were in a little bit of turmoil. He was in a hospital bed in our living room for weeks. I had a 4- and 6-year-old, and I was pregnant, and I was at a new company for 5 months. So if I had not been in bold and had the mindset and had not learned some of the systems and scripts, I don't think I would be at the place I'm at today. And I use social media a lot in order to status update on where I'm showing, what I'm doing, houses we've sold. It was the easiest way for me to network, have a database as well, ironically enough, and also still be with my family. So that's why I use social media. Well, one of the MAPS coaches friended me, after I think Bold Tech I had taken with her, which was Liz Landry. And she would watch what I did, and we would talk back and forth every once in a while. And then one day she private messaged me and said, you really need a coach. And I said, I think I'm doing pretty good. I appreciate that. And $1,000 a month is a little overwhelming right now. And I don't even know that she realized at the time my husband had his accident. So he was out on workers' comp, and he had been the breadwinner all the time. So anyways, she said, how about we take one coaching call and you see if you think it's worth it. And you don't owe me a thing. Let's just do a coaching call, see if I help you at all. And if you think so, then let's talk further. So I said, all right, well, again, it's free, quote unquote. I can do that. So I talked to her, and I remember my stomach going into knots as I started talking to her. And I was like, oh my God, what I am not doing so many things, and I never thought about it this way or thought that I could focus on something else another way. And as we talked longer, I just became so evident, much like Mega Camp and much like Bold, that I needed her. So when we hung up the phone, I just had this feeling like I need this person in my life. So I said to my husband, this is $1,000. Our health insurance was going to be going up to $1,200 when he was no longer working. So we still had workers' comp for a little bit. And I said to him, I need to start now because we're going to have to pay that $1,200. And he said, but that's $1,000. That's $2,200 a month on top of it. And I said, well, listen, if I start now and we have the $1,200 in 5 months that we have to pay, if this girl does what she says she can do to help me focus and build my business where I need it to be, this should triple, if not more, the income that we'll have coming in. So he luckily had faith in me, and I had faith in her. So it was really amazing. And I was with her 4 or 5 years.
And she had faith in you. And it sounds so much, though, that you were so determined. You got to have gone through some fear, right?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. The fear first is always the money, I think, for a lot of people. And I feel like I would be lying if I said otherwise. I know a lot of people say, well, you have to live in abundance, and I absolutely agree and believe in that. However, the average Joe, I think, really would fear that because that's a sizable amount of money for somebody to put in. However, if they think in abundance, then they'll know that with the results that MAPS has gotten for people and for people just like me, I started, just to give you an example, I left Prudential as their number one agent in Simsbury. I did $5.6 million in sales and 40-something houses by myself. So when I left, my husband had that accident that year. I got into MAPS coaching later in the year. The last couple months of the year, I hired a buyer's agent, which was brand new for me. And my business went up the first year alone being at Keller Williams 114%.
Wow. Now, did the coach make you great, or you doing what the coach asked you to make you great?
I think having a partnership with that coach and being coachable and learning how to be learning-based out of need more than anything is what made it great. It made it a great experience. She held me accountable to it. I remember, I'm not going to lie, there's times I felt like total garbage because I was like, oh my God, I did not do X, Y, and Z. And I was letting myself down by not doing it. And she didn't make me feel like garbage. It was me because I was not doing what I needed to do to hit the numbers and the commitment I made to myself and my family and my eventually team.
Let's go into this social media thing because you're using it, you've got a coach, you're really pushing on your strength. Tell our listeners, how do they use social media?
Social media is the easiest and the most inexpensive way to get in front of multiple people throughout the day, every day. So if you want to, 10x your life, as Grant Cardone likes to say, you can let them know what you're doing. Will you irritate some people? Absolutely. They tell you, oh, you're so annoying, all I see is your houses all day long. Probably. And then at the same time, there'll be the same people that will call you when they want to sell their house because they know how much business that you do. So very easily, I use social media to make connections with people, for them to see my name and see me be present, from loving their status update to making a happy birthday, video and sending it to them, to stand out, to be a little bit different, to, status updating about how many houses I'm showing, where I'm showing them, when I'm closing, and posting sold signs with my clients in front of their homes, tagging them, tagging all the people that helped us in the transaction. It then spiders out, it's that 6 degrees of separation thing. And when one person likes it, it shows in other people's news feeds. So if you know the algorithms, which you don't even have to know, you just have to be present and use it. That's the biggest thing. You're going to show up to so many more people. So people are going to start knowing you without you even realizing it, because of how often you're going to show in their news feeds, because of how their friends like what you do. Then they'll like what they like. So it's a great tool. I started with Facebook, and we've done Facebook and moved into Instagram, and it's more the personal pages that people look at the most. But they want to work with people that they like. They want to work with people they know, they trust, and that are like them more than likely. So on my social media, you'll see me posting about my kids, and it's not all perfect because people need to know you're not perfect too. They don't need to just see the highlight reel. But it is always fun. So people like knowing and working with people that are fun and that are the experts. That's what I found in my area, so that's what I try to do. And I try to be a resource by creating local groups in the area, from the Friends of Squadron Line Elementary to, there's Simsbury Neighbors Helping Neighbors and the Coming Soon Simsbury Properties page. And so we make a bunch of local niche groups that we then monitor and help in. And then we'll make some larger public groups, like I created the KW Profit Share Mastermind. So those are all huge things and helps me connect with people. So the Profit Share Mastermind helps me get referrals in Connecticut when people are thinking about it, because I've not created that to make a dime from it. It's just I thought it was a need that needed to be met, and so I made it. And the Friends of Squadron Line Elementary, well, those people in there are going to see my properties that are listed in Squadron Line as well, because I created it. So I know people in my town like to live in the elementary school districts that their kids go to. So there's 5 elementaries, so I created more than half of the Friends of for the elementary schools so that we can do those things. So
okay, so people want to know how you create these. How do you create these? What do you say to the people? What do you do?
Well, I just started off with a status update, like, hey, I just created this great group for Simsbury Moms Unite. So that's one of the groups that's in town, let's say. That one is not one that I created, but that would be a great one for somebody to create if you don't have it in the area. And that group is just built basically just like Simsbury Neighbors Helping Neighbors, where people will post stuff for sale. They will post stuff, so I post my listings in there too. They'll post stuff like, hey, I need a real estate agent, I need an attorney, I need a landscaper. So also watching that stuff to be the expert that helps recommend people to, both supports small business and makes you the local expert. And then also, doing charity and community events like we do. We did the TSA pre-check that we had come to our office for a week. We didn't make a dime from it, but it was a community event we did, and so we posted it all over various social media groups, did boosted and sponsored ads on Facebook where we could target the demographic we wanted to hit. We had raffles and whatnot so that they would have to sign in to win the raffle, obviously. So what did we do with that? We built our database. So, it's a great event to use and to create those community events just so that people say, hey, you guys are always doing stuff. You do your toy drive in July and your toy drive at Christmas for Connecticut Children's Medical Center. And you do your TSA pre-check event multiple times a year, or you do your blood drive, or whatever it may be. And then you also do your client events that you can use through social media too. So it's pretty amazing.
Jessica, what's interesting to me is that TSA pre-check as well. We got that from you guys, and we're doing that at Mega Camp for the Mastery clients. I think it's a great idea for people to use and to be able to come to your office and actually obtain that. All these little things that you're doing, how much time do you spend on social media?
I probably am on it for about an hour a day, but it's not an hour solid. It's 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and it's just going through and liking some stuff, or it's making a status update. And honestly, you can even do scheduled updates. So you could use a program called Hootsuite that will schedule on all of your social media platforms, which is wonderful. So you could use it for Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you wanted it to do, you could schedule on all of them. Or you can go right through that platform itself and schedule it. So the reason to go to the platform like Facebook itself and schedule it is because if it's scheduled through Facebook as opposed to a third party, it'll actually rank higher in the algorithms, and it'll show in more people's news feeds, which is important. So, I had done Hootsuite for years, and I still do a little bit of it just for my properties of the day that we'll post, because I actually have people that like to see those. And but those don't rank quite as high as if you schedule it directly through the platform itself. And now, also knowing the times to schedule, you want to schedule it anytime between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. for the biggest amount of traffic that's going to be online. So when we do our just solds, we wait to post those until after 8 p.m. if possible, or we do it first thing in the morning.
That's interesting. You've got this down to such a science, and you can tell that you've got a system and a model to follow, and we appreciate you helping us with all of that. Now, you're spending more time with your family. You've got team members that are taking over for you, even doing your emails while you're on vacation. You actually can have a vacation. So tell us what's happened to your production since you became a Keller Williams agent and you joined MAPS Coaching.
It's really doubled year over year. The first year, like I said, my business went up 114%. I think I was at, if I remember right, I was at about $12 million. And like I said, the numbers for that year was a single agent. The second year in was when I had the team formed with production being involved. So it's doubled year over year. Our best year was at $45 million. Last year we dipped a bit because I had some team turnover. It was the first time in like 8 years, so that's a huge compliment. And we dipped to, I think, $37 million. And this year we're on pace for $55 million.
Yeah, see, it's amazing. You can bounce back. I'm telling you, you've taken, well, what's happened to your life that you couldn't do before Keller Williams?
Diana, my coach now teases me all the time. My coach is Drew Lee, and he's like, I want to know your vacation schedule. So I've realized, you always say in Bold to look for patterns in your life. And I know November is a big month for you, obviously. I remember that from Bold. So I started looking for patterns. I started looking at my physical patterns. And I started realizing that if I did not take vacations or dedicated time off, 4 days minimum, every 8 to 10 weeks, I would start to get sick. And I would get the flu or bronchitis or pneumonia, and I would have it for a week to 2. So, and then, having a family, there's 6 of us in my family total. So when one of us gets it, it rolls through, so then it comes back around more than likely. So I realized I would get sick less if I took vacation more. So my whole goal is to work between vacations because it's all about making memories with my family. So,
well, and your family, you've got 12, 10, 6, and a 4-year-old. I mean,
yes.
You've got a lot of family there to take care of. And you said that you've grown, though. How have you grown personally?
Well, this year has been a great year. I'm finally finding me. I think for all those moms out there, after we have our kids, we forget to take the time for ourselves and put our own oxygen masks on. And no matter how many times I've heard this, I have heard it for years. I teach people this all the time. I didn't do it for myself. So this was the first year I started doing that, and I've worked on mindset for years since being at Keller Williams. It's been, I think, almost 8. And finally, it seems like it's clicking because I've lost 58 pounds this year. I have,
good for you.
I have taken more vacation than I've ever had. My goal is 6 to 8 weeks of vacation. I realized if I could have taken 3 to 4 months off when my dad was sick, it's time to do some of that stuff now more with my family. So 6 to 8 weeks is my goal of vacation a year if possible. And I'll even tie it into training too sometimes so I can get some of that out of the way too. And our production has only gone up. I average myself still at this point, and I'm doing my best to start whittling down on it. I average 70 units a year myself as a team members go. So, that is a substantial amount of work. And yet, because I focus on the listings, I'm able to do that because I can control my calendar better with a listing.
Yeah, so you're doing 70 deals personally yourself. You're taking 6 to 8 weeks off over the course of a year, plus not to mention weekends and different things that you're doing there. Has your mindset changed about the business at all?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was at a point at one time that I thought, why am I even doing this? I'm missing events with my family. I am not present when I need to be present. And a great book, Present Over Perfect, is one of them I read this year that was really outstanding and really pointing that out as well. And, you get frustrated. You hit those slumps. I'm sure everybody has had one. Or if you haven't, it's probably coming at some point. The good news is you can always get out of it. And my life has changed. I've now set the expectations. I had times during the year, a couple years ago, where I even had agents saying, oh, I can't get a hold of you. And I said, well, maybe you don't realize my hours, so let me give you my hours. So now we have our expectations right attached to the multiple listing that says hours of operation, who to contact for what, so they know it's right there. When we first start the negotiations on the deals, I tell them, hey guys, I'm unavailable between 4 and 8. I say this to my clients, and I say this to my co-broking agents. And I put that right out from the beginning of our conversation just to set the expectation and to let them know. And once you tell people, the biggest thing is we don't tell people enough. And once you tell people, they say, oh, all right, I get it. That makes sense. I had one agent say, Jess, I can never get a hold of you. I said, Diane, you always call me between 6 and 8. You're not going to get me. I made a commitment to my family to be mom. After 8 o'clock, if we're negotiating, I will give you a call until we're done. That's the commitment I made. I'm in the office between 7:30 and 8 every day, and I'm out by 4 to be home with my kids because I'm the one, by choice, that takes them to all of their activities.
Yeah, I love that, by choice. So here we are. We're talking to someone, an agent that was just like you many years ago. And you're giving them your advice, the things that you've learned. What would you say that they should do?
I think what they should do is write out where they'd like to see themselves in 5 years. And I think they should also do the exercise that we do in Quantum Leap. And it's so telling, where it sounds a bit morbid. However, it's really amazing when you think of the opportunity that you have for it. I think what they should do is write out what they want their epitaph to say. And then after they do that, and they write where they'd like to see themselves in 5 years, and they write where they'd like to see themselves in a year or 3 years. Make a plan based on the 1, 3, and 5 years, and write your epitaph. And after you do your epitaph, build it backwards into that plan. So I know for me, no matter what, my dad passed away at 62. I want to make sure that if that's all the time I have for some reason, my kids have had every experience I could possibly give them, any vacation or memory. They knew their mom was there at all of their events, and, I was a friend that everybody wanted. That was the most important to me. And by the way, the business that we do funds that perfect life, and the business that we do, I see the money that we make, because at some point it's going to get hard for you to that new agent, and you're going to see, this is going to sound funny, but I know I struggled with it. It'll get hard for you when you make a certain amount of money, and everybody says, oh no, I'd like to make $1 million, or I'd like to make, and maybe they do, and their financial thermostat might be incredibly high, and that's great. I know at certain numbers for me, all of a sudden it was, is this too much? Do I even need this? We live just fine. I do my best to live debt-free. And so then I realized that it was selfish of me to not make more money. And the reason being is I need to be present for my community, and I am such a vocal person within the community, and I do a lot of volunteer work within the community, and I try to teach my children to be good people as well as my team members' children, by giving back and volunteering, that if I didn't make more money, I wouldn't be able to help more people. So it behooved me to make more money, to show my kids how to be really good people, and to do the right thing by others in the community. So that point that you hit where you think you've made too much and you don't know if you need to make more, and your number might be 50,000, it might be 100,000, it might be $1 million. Either way, push yourself to do more, because somebody out there needs your help, and they need you to inspire them, and they need you to take care of them. You just might not have met them yet.
Yeah, I love that. Selfish to not make more money. And in Coaching Skills Camp, we do the same thing on writing out your eulogy. What are you want to be known for, and are you living that way? Would you tell them to take Bold? Would you tell them to take Quantum Leap? Or would you just tell them to do those exercises?
Well, to be honest with you, Diana, I am a perpetual student at this point, and one of yours quite frequently. So I would tell them to get into anything and get into any room, no matter what the class is, that has you in it, that has Tony DeCello in it, that has Gary Keller teaching it. And there's so many other amazing instructors. Even if you don't know what the class is, take it if you see who the instructor is. That makes a big difference too. And Coaching Skills Camp was amazing because you learn the right questions to ask throughout your life, not just in business. So I would suggest Coaching Skills Camp. I would suggest Bold multiple times, because I've been here 8 years and I've done it 12 times. This was the first spring I actually didn't take Bold, and the reason being I had a bunch of other prior commitments that it wouldn't have aligned, and I felt so off. So I'm really looking forward to Bold this fall, and I plan on having my entire team with me, like we have in the past. So definitely get into those classes, because they'll get you in the right mindset. Even when you think that you don't have the money, you never know who's willing to be an angel in your market center either. There's been a couple times where we've had people in Bold, and you could tell they were just at the lowest low that they could possibly get. And I've stood up and I've paid for them, or I've privately gone and paid for them, because I knew how important it was to me, and I knew how it changed my life. And I thought, if I have the opportunity to help change somebody's life and get them on a different trajectory, then that's my job to do so.
Jessica, you've been through so much. Your dad, your husband having the accident at work, you've got 4 great kids, and you really have your life in order. You have been an inspiration to every single person that has listened to this interview, and I so appreciate your time today. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, thank you, Diana. It's such an honor to be asked. I look up to you more than anything, as do so many people. Keep doing the great work you're doing. You inspire each and every one of us every single day.
You are amazing, my dear. You can't see in me what you don't have in yourself. See ya.
So, there you have it. Jessica, thank you so much for being on our podcast and for taking time out of your busy day to educate our listeners about your experience and the specific strategies that will help any KW agent sell more homes. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and want to subscribe, search KW Maps Podcast on iTunes. You can also go to kwmapspodcast.com. As always, success is simple, not easy. And with that, we'll catch you next time on the KW Maps Podcast, Growth Edition. Take care.